there's a difference between feeling sexualized and feeling sexy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I am constantly sexualized and hypersexualized. I don't feel like I'm viewed for the entirety of my being, and that can cast a really negative light on how, look at me, I'm not even like, I'm like looking down, I'm like not making eye contact because I'm like already like retreating into my bubble. But I feel like being a very curvaceous woman and being, you know, having music that's a little bit sensual and putting myself out there in that way, it's a fine line between feeling sexy and then feeling like uncomfortable.
2 a.m. and I'm going loud. I'm riding through the city, I'm shining now.
Welcome back to Conquering Your Sexy, where we are obsessed with finding out what that word means and redefining sexy for ourselves and finding out what makes us walk around as the most confident version of ourselves. And before you click anywhere else, I have a really exciting guest today. Her name is Shefali Deshpande, and she's a dear friend of mine that I met a year ago. And we are not only going to be talking about her journey of confidence, but we are also going to be dancing and to her original song, Keeper, which you will have to check out. I'll be putting everything in the show notes.
Woo!
So, okay. We're gonna do a little icebreaker game.
Okay. Should I put my tea down for this?
If you want to, but
Okay,
you don't
let's
have
get
to.
loose. Let's get loose.
Let's
get loose with it. Let me not ruin your rug in the process.
Okay. So before I give an introduction into who Shefali is, I want to just do a little icebreaker. We're gonna figure out how well I know you and give the viewers a chance to know you. So we're gonna play 2 truths and a lie.
Oh no.
Okay, so give me 3 statements. 2 of them have to be a truth. 1 of them has to be a lie, and I'm gonna guess.
Okay. Oh, you know me though.
I know.
Woo, I have to like really figure it out. Okay. Okay. I speak 4 languages. I've been to every continent except Antarctica.
Okay.
And I went to Nicaragua to study women for a week.
Okay. Can you say the first one more time?
I speak 4 languages.
Okay, that's a lie. Because I know that you travel the world. You travel the world, and so I'm pretty sure that you've been to every single continent except for Antarctica. And then the third one, I believe that you told me, I know you've been to Rwanda to study genocide.
That's why I didn't do that one, because I always talk about Rwanda.
But I know that I'm pretty sure that you've also told me about this trip to Nicaragua, and you had an experience, and you know some Spanish. So I think that's also true. So I think the first one, knowing 4 languages alike, because I know you know at least 3 languages, but I wouldn't know what the 4th one is, so I'm gonna go with first statement as a lie.
Okay, you're wrong.
I was so sure.
I was like trying to give you like laser beams, like just like, do you want me to like tell you first? You're not wrong about everything you said.
Okay.
I am very well traveled.
Okay.
But I haven't been to, I've never been to Australia, I've never been to South America. I've been to Africa, Europe, Asia, North America. So I've never, and then obviously I left out Antarctica to stump you because I was like, well, no one's really been out. I mean, I'm sure there's people who have been to Antarctica, but I do speak 4 languages.
Okay, what are they?
So it's English, Hindi, Kannada, and I don't really include Spanish. I guess it's like half Spanish and half Marathi, which is another Indian language. They sort of combine into one. So I say 4.
Wow, that's very impressive.
Thank you. My whole family is a polyglot. My mom speaks 5. Like, we're all polyglots.
Wow.
But I do want to go see every continent. I knew that would get you.
I know, because I know you're well traveled.
Well, you know me too, and I was like, let me see how I can stump her, because I'm just that person.
Yeah, that was very good.
Good job.
Will you tell everyone what your nationality is?
My ethnicity.
Your ethnicity.
My ethnicity.
Yes.
My nationality is, I was born in the Bay Area. Silicon Valley girl, and I moved to LA when I was 18 to attend USC for my undergraduate. My ethnicity is I am the daughter of Indian immigrants from the Indian subcontinent, so I'm South Asian American, and my identity is, as you know, a whole vibrant whirl of both Indian and American traditions and energies and arts, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So let me just tell you a little bit about Shefali. She is a recording artist. You can find her on any platform that you listen to music on. She is constantly creating and collaborating with different artists. She is also an amazing actress with a deep love for theater. We actually just came off of a national tour this year, a musical, a political parody sketch show where she was originally casted as Kamala Harris, and I play AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So we met a little bit over a year ago. And in the time that I've known Shefali, and why I was so interested in having this conversation with her, is because she comes off as a person who is very sure of herself, and she has a very powerful voice that she's not afraid to use. And also, in the same breath, is really never afraid to state when you feel like you have said something wrong, or when you feel like you may have just touch something that's sensitive for somebody. Like you're very loud and bold, but you're bold in being wrong about things, and I don't feel like you really shame yourself for those things. And in the time that I've known you, we've had a few really memorable conversations surrounding our bodies, why we love what we have, the things that we struggle with, the things, especially in the entertainment industry specifically. So I'm really excited to dive in with Shefali. So I wanted to start with asking you, when was the last time that you felt sexy? And do you even identify with that word?
Okay, well, before we do that, just because you said that I am not afraid to call myself out, I didn't mean to correct you.
No, I'm glad.
I just was like, do you want me to tell them, like I needed like an aside. Like, do you want me to tell them, like,
I'm American?
Yeah,
or
like,
do you want me
that part.
to know?
So I'm like, my ethnicity. I'm like over here sending my girl like signals, like, what should I? So it wasn't like, you know the difference between. It was like what do you want me to tell them?
And this is a part of our dynamic, actually.
Totally.
I am a person who loves to learn, and part of this process of me like interviewing people and having conversations is for me to get better at this kind of thing. So it's really great. And with Shefali, because she has so much knowledge in areas that I don't, that whenever we talk, I'm like, wait, what does that mean?
Sometimes I'm wrong though.
Where's that?
I do be wrong out here. Sometimes. And we've gotten into like, it's a cute, that's our dynamic. Yeah. That's our whole thing where she'll be like, actually, and I'm like, oh, you're right.
I'll bring it up later, and I'm like, yeah, I looked that up. That was wrong.
I'm wrong
She's like, were you waiting for that? Were you holding that in your pocket? It's great.
But I'm glad that you still feel like I'm a source of knowledge on some level.
Yes, I do. Good. I do.
So I just wanted that to be an aside, just because you brought that up. I was like, oh no, did I mess up?
No. There's no way to mess up.
Well, back to your question. Christina's also just incredible. I mean, the fact that you're setting this up, I just want to extend my gratitude to you, because obviously you and I have these private conversations as friends, because we're very close friends, but for us to like kind of put it out there into the world, I think is a really great idea, and I thank you for bringing me along for the ride. The last time I felt sexy. I think this is a very difficult question for me. And I think maybe it's for an opposite reason than a lot of people might have, or a lot of women might have. Because there's a difference between feeling sexualized and feeling sexy. Mm-hmm. I feel like I am constantly sexualized and hypersexualized. I don't feel like I'm viewed for the entirety of my being, and that can cast a really negative light on how, look at me, I'm not even like, I'm like looking down, I'm like not making eye contact, because I'm like already like retreating into my my bubble, but I feel like being a very curvaceous woman and being, you know, having music that's a little bit sensual and putting myself out there in that way, it's a fine line between feeling sexy and then feeling like uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But it's like, this is my art, this is my truth, like I want to create it and put it out there, but a lot of times I put it out there and then I'm like, oh my God, was the cleavage too much? Or like, are people gonna judge me for that? Or like, is that, and it's like, this is how my body looks! Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, this is what it looks like. And it should be celebrated and it should be normalized and it should be sexy, but it doesn't always feel like that. But do I feel sexy when I'm like filming music videos and when I'm on stage and stuff? Absolutely, yes. So I guess that's a long-winded way of saying the last time I felt sexy was probably while we were touring. Like when we're on stage, we have this great number where we play like, there's a number about Putin and it's sketch comedy and we play these like little like dancers, Putinettes, with our like fishnets and our short shorts and our like little hats. And it makes me feel sexy because I know I'm being funny, which is a big part of my identity, but also we're like dancing all sexy and it's just funny and silly and I feel great in my body and we get to sing. And so I think stage really helps me feel sexy, but it is difficult. I find myself sort of bulking when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting because what I hear from that is that feeling sexy can be positive and negative, and sometimes maybe both at the same time. And that's something that I've been realizing, that two truths can exist all at once. And I think feeling sexy, we have this mixed experience with it. And it can feel good, but it can feel weird and uncomfortable. And some of it might not be coming actually internally from you.
Yeah.
It might be coming from an external source.
Oh yeah, and we internalize that, right? Society has, I just had this conversation with a client earlier today, and we internalize what society has placed on us as women in terms of like being too sexy or not being sexy enough. And we never win.
Yeah.
We can never win. It's like, oh, she's like, if she's, she's just a housewife, or like, oh, she's a CEO, but like...
She's not a mom.
She's not a mom or a wife. It's like, you can't win. And it's like, in all of these spheres that I just mentioned, like, women are winning. Like, we are really, like, we have the capacity to do anything and everything. And that, whether that includes motherhood or not, whether that includes a business or a career or not, like, all of those things. And so, like, I don't know, it just... I think these things are placed upon us that make us feel like we're very limited when in reality we're actually doing so much more than we give ourselves credit for.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to get into your future in a moment, but I want to also dive into the year that you just had, because one of the reasons that I also, wanted to interview you is because you're a part of the workshop that I just hosted less than a week ago. We did a sensuality workshop and did some vision boarding, reflecting over the previous year, going into the future year. And Shefali, I knew was going to be an important presence in the workshop because of the reasons that I've already described. And there was some interesting things that you brought up that I heard, and I wanted to touch on something. So tell me the words that you chose, if you can remember, from last year. The 5 words that represented the year that you've had.
So this past year, right? Okay, so yes. I remember that it was like family for sure was in both. So family, I remember it was uncertainty, frustration, something like that. Gratitude, and growth was in growth. Yeah.
You mentioned that you had like 10 to 15 opportunities that came to you that could have been absolutely life-changing, and that you were so close to getting and then didn't get. And I wanted to talk to you about that because I want to know how that wore on your confidence, how it feels right now, how you want to utilize those experiences moving into this upcoming year.
Yeah, I called it, what did I said, my almost year. It's
Yeah.
like been branded my almost year. And it started out as a joke, like in the middle of the summer, because I was just like, it's a year. But then I was like, oh, you know, by the end of 2022, like that will have dissipated. And so I'm like, you know, get at the end of 2022 and like, oh, yeah, it was a year of almost. And it's so hard because immediately I'm like, oh no, but express gratitude. You went on tour, you did all these things, which were incredible. They were amazing. And again, that's part of the growth. But it's like, it really wears you down when you go through like these rounds of callbacks or whatever it is, producers meetings, you know, emails putting you on avail, or like when you're on, you know, call or whatever. For those of you who don't know what avail is, it's like when you get super close and they're essentially choosing between you and maybe one other person or one or two other people, but they want you to keep the day open. So you could literally be like 2 days before the shoot on avail, but not know if you actually have the job or not. And it's a big thing as actors and as singers, songwriters as well, for this to just sort of wear down on you, for you to get that close and then to not book it. It was like 10 to 15 life-changing opportunities this year. Mm-hmm. And I know that the takeaway is like, well, look, you got so close, right? And it's like spinning it in that positive light. You got so close, and look, you were in those rooms, and that's the takeaway. Yes, but I'm also human. Mm-hmm. And it really, this was 2022 was truly my almost year. But I have a lot of hope for 2023.
I think it's really incredible how in the entertainment industry, we get no's. I mean, nine times out of 10, we're getting a no.
Yeah.
And we continue to just get up and forget about every single time that somebody was like, nah, we're good.
Like, I'm good off that, yeah.
Yeah, I really think that we have more resilience than a lot of other industries because
goodness.
We're just constantly putting ourselves out there and saying like, pick me. I feel like I'm good for the opportunity and getting nowhere. Most people don't have that many job interviews. Like, we're doing job interviews almost every single day of the week.
Yeah.
We're constantly saying like, hey, you want me? And for that to not break you down, to continue and say, yeah, I'm gonna go and do this for another year or another 10 years or for my entire life, is pretty incredible and resilient.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, and obviously you can attest to this, that it's draining.
Yeah.
It's draining. We're putting in, it's like, someone said to me once, like, this is the only industry where we put in more work to get the job than we actually do once we have the job.
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
Even especially with the pandemic, I think there's something to be said about like the self-tape culture that has come about, where like I used to do a lot of in-person auditions, and now it's like there are pros and cons with self-tapes, right? You get to do it again. If you mess up, you really like can curate like the best tape that you ever that you know wanted it to be, and that's great. But it's also like, okay, invest in the setup, get the ring light, get your lights and get the backdrop and it's just a lot of work being put in. And so it almost makes like getting that close and then not getting it like sour. It just like,
yeah,
almost would be easier if you didn't get that close. But then I know that's part of the growth, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because now like those casting people have seen me, or like those producers have seen me, or that director maybe might remember me, or whatever it is. But yeah, man, but
yeah
2022 it was a lot. Mm-hmm. It was a lot.
I think the trajectory with acting or any type of thing where you're submitting yourself for these types of jobs on a regular basis, I want to talk about 4 different types of confidence when it comes to these things, because number 1, you could have unwarranted confidence that comes from you thinking that your abilities are maybe better than they are, overestimating yourself. 2, having kind of like a pasted on confidence where you say you feel good and you say that you want to get the job, or that you feel like you can, but you actually don't really internally believe it. So it's just kind of slapped on there. The 3rd being you've done it so many times that you know that you can continue to book it, or you can continue to be successful at what you're doing because you've done it. And then the 4th being that you just believe through hard effort and work that you're going to get better at it somehow, and that you're going to achieve the goals that you want. Which of those do you feel like, and maybe you've experienced all of them, but which of those do you feel like you're functioning out of right now most in your life?
I'd say it's a combo of the 3rd and the 4th, right? Like, it's the like, I've done this, I got this, I know that I know I'm walking in my purpose, I know I'm good at this stuff, I know that I'm meant to do it, but then it's also like sluggishly getting my way through every single day and still finding that last ounce of energy and confidence to like work really hard and like put myself out there and do all of that.
Yeah. That's great, because out of those 4, the 3rd and the 4th are the most useful, according to studies, because because you're past the point where you're overestimating your abilities. You know what you have to offer, and you know what you bring to the table. So you're confident in your ability.
Yes.
And you do believe in yourself.
Yes.
But
most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time you believe in yourself. And between that 3rd and 4th one, at least what I found from what I've read, the 4th one is actually the most useful because it mobilizes you. When you just believe that through hard effort, you can actually achieve your goals and you'll get better at whatever it is that you're trying to do, you're at least mobilized into action. And so I think that's really good. I was just curious what you thought about the 3rd and the 4th.
Well, that makes me feel good. That makes me feel confident. Eight.
Okay, so I want to talk about Shefali's next decade. Yeah, because this year, I don't know if you mind me talking about your age.
Oh, I don't care, yeah.
Okay, me neither. You're moving into 30, which is for I think most women, it feels, I don't know, it feels somewhat daunting. At least it did for me. Yeah. 29 was a big year for me internally. So I'm wondering for you, as you move into this next decade of your life, like what you're hoping to get out of it. If you want to mention the 5 words that you set out for your next year, but also just thinking a little bit more in the long term. What do you want from 30 to 40 to look like? Yeah,
I think I'm equal parts scared and equal parts excited about turning 30. I don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah. But I've been trying to wrestle with this concept that we're still so young, because everybody is always like, you're so young. I'm like, I don't feel young. I feel grown and I feel tired, but it's like we really are in our, I'm in my 20s, still barely hanging on by a thread. But I just think with the pandemic and everything and losing 2 to 3 years of your 20, I'm feeling very unsteady right now. But I'm excited to go into 30. And I think 30 to 40 for me is going to look full. Very full. I want fullness and balance in my life. I think I did I put family for sure as another one that's going to be a steady. You know how close I am with my family. They're my everything. Hey guys. And so I know that that's going to be a huge part of my life. Now, whether that means my nuclear family, right now, and then expanding into, maybe having a partner and a child or two, and
Or two.
Maybe just one. That I don't know. That looks uncertain at this point, but it could be exciting. I think that's something that I would want for myself, is like a husband and a kid and that thing. But it has to make sense, right? It has to be right.
Yeah.
So I see that for myself, expanding the family a little bit to include that. I see myself having a lot of wealth, and that doesn't just mean monetarily. That means like equity and assets and, whether it's property or stake in a business or whatever, just wealth. Like I want a lot of royalties, a lot of residuals, like booking that those things that bring in that passive income down the line, which I'm already building on right now with like the music royalties and all of that stuff. Like I just want to keep putting stuff. Stock is a funny word to use, but I want to keep putting stock in all of those things and kind of putting energy and effort in that direction. And I want a lot of love in my life. I just want that, like whether that's my love of being on stage and being on set, to be manifesting more fully, and the love for my family. And again, this ties back into having a partner, a loving, healthy partner. Because I don't know what that feels like. Not really. And
this woman is single.
Okay.
What?
Just for all the folks
It's a
out
sign,
there.
it's a sign.
Like everybody's at their keyboards like. Yo, that's really funny.
Okay.
If you want to get specific, it's like I'm trying to be on Broadway. I'm trying to be a series regular on a sitcom for a major network. And I'm trying to write on Rihanna's next album as a songwriter and getting my royalties from that. So if we're trying to get specific, that's happening in my 30s. Doesn't have to just be Rihanna. I'll take all of you, any of you on that echelon, on that level. So songwriting for them. I've gotten close before, but it's just, I just need to like keep knocking on those doors and keep writing, keep creating. I'm gonna be a business owner. I'm definitely going to have equity in a business in my 30s. Come hell or high water, it's happening. I will be growing my stocks and I will be growing my mutual funds. I would like to buy property. Yes. And a new car.
I love it.
Friendships and making sure I thrive with my friendships. I think I covered everything.
Yeah, you did. That was a beautiful, thorough description of
Thank
what you
you.
want in 30
I was like
seconds.
going general with it, but then I was like, well, if the people want to know specifically what I want, I want bit.
Yeah. So we talked about your 30s. Now, if you could like take 20 to 30 as a chunk, and you had like top 3 lessons that you got from your 20s. Think back to like 20-year-old Shefali, what she was doing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. What would be the 3 lessons you take into 30s?
Know your worth. Personally and monetarily. Don't assume that people have your best interests at heart. So like protect your peace, protect yourself. Don't trust too easily. I learned that the hard way, professionally and personally. And find joy in every day, because especially with the trajectory that we've chosen, it's not, for some people it is, but it's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
Yeah.
So if you're not enjoying the process and the journey, you're going to be miserable because there are not quick rewards in this industry. So just find joy. Find those moments with your friends or your family or whoever makes you feel good. Oh, also go to therapy. It'll change your life. It's really important. That was 4 things.
You always do that.
I was like, I just one more. Oh,
That was great advice.
thank you.
That was great
I've
advice.
learned a lot.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot.
Okay. I want to know, how do you feel about your body and your looks continuing to change with you for the next decade? How do you feel about that?
That's a little nerve-wracking. I've already kind of seen it start to happen. Like, I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm getting older. That wasn't there before. Or like, this is not as easy to do anymore. Or like, my body hurts all the time. And I'm starting to see, it's a little daunting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little scary. But like, I've just like, that's another big thing. Like, when you look in the mirror, like, and you never see like the good. Like, I'm not saying you, like, I just feel like in my early 20s, like, when I look back on pictures, I'm like, damn, you looked good. But at the time, I didn't feel like I looked good. I was like, I have a flat stomach. I'm not this. I'm not that. And even now, I like look in the mirror and I'm like poking, prodding, picking at like every part of my body, my hair, my skin. Like, I'm just like, ugh, bleh, bleh, bleh. And yes, I'm confident and I love myself. I really do. Wholly. But yes, I nitpick at my body and the way that I look and feel down on myself. And I know 10 years from now, I'm going to look back and be like, damn, you had it going on and you didn't appreciate it. Like, so I'm trying to pause and appreciate the parts of myself that I do like and trying not to be so hard on myself on the parts that I don't necessarily love.
Yeah.
It's hard though.
I feel like you and I have had so many moments where we'll be like, you look incredible right now. Or like, you know, giving each other some sort of affirmation that we're like, really? Wow. Right now? You think that? And it's so wild to see how someone else's perspective can be so different from what you have in your head and what you see.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
It's true. Like, we truly don't see ourselves the way other people see us.
I know.
Positively and negatively. And that's why like introspection is so important, I think. Like, because it's just like, oh, like all these, like, I know that I have had to wake up one day and be like, all these people are saying these negative things, not necessarily with how I look, but like maybe a part of me. And then I'm like, maybe I do need to change that. And it like starts with me. But it same goes for the positive stuff. It's like if all the people are saying these wonderful things and we're talking about bodies, like physically about you, it's like the validation has to first of all come from within you. If you don't like the way that you look, nothing anybody ever says it's all just going to bounce off of you. So I think our abilities to sort of like take what somebody else is saying and receive it is the work that we've already put in to find some love for ourselves on some level.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, how could we have accepted it, you know, for it to be true?
Yeah. Have you ever considered altering anything on your body? It's so common.
My nose. I'm like, I don't want to change my nose anymore. I did when I was growing up. And sometimes even now when I look at pictures and stuff, I'm like, oof, like that angle was not good. Not good for my nose. But the reason why I was like, I would always just like shut down immediately, doing anything to my nose was because, and maybe scientifically it wouldn't have affected anything, but I'm like, oh no, I'm a singer. Like the airflow, I'm like, I can't have anything change the piping of how my vocal cords go up through my freaking face and come out of my mouth. Like, I was like, I just cannot have anything because that is my love. That is my livelihood. My voice is my everything. And so I was like, I don't want to change my voice. So I can't change my nose. Yeah. And I've never asked a doctor if that's actually a thing. They might just be like, oh, it wouldn't affect anything at all. And I'm like, don't tell me that because I don't want to know. So I've just come to the conclusion that I can't do anything to my nose. And that's fine. I thought about getting a breast reduction.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why?
It's a lot.
Like the actual physical nature of it?
Both,
Or?
everything. Like the physical nature of it, back pain, and sort of feeling comfortable to like, so I was very specific in how I chose my outfit today because I was like, we're going to be conquering our sexy. And it was like, I know, it was like a WW.
We're matching
and we did not plan this.
Okay.
I showed up here and I was just like, oh my goodness. But I was like, it had like a WWCD moment, like what would Cristina do? And
I was like, what would Christ do?
Yeah. No. What would Cristina do? And I like put on the top and I was like the little bralette underneath. And I knew we were going to be dancing a little bit today. And I was just like, she really would look at me and be like, Chef, that's it. That's the thing. Yes. Like, oh my gosh, yes, you look amazing. But I'm sitting here so wildly uncomfortable with the cleavage that I'm sporting right now. Like, so completely wildly uncomfortable. Like, I'm like, they're not even watching this for this conversation. They're watching this because it's like, there's a show happening. But it's like, we're wearing the same top.
Right.
And look at, like, it's...
Yeah. Different bodies.
But I just don't, it makes me self-conscious. So I thought about doing that.
I'm proud of you for wearing
Thank you.
what you felt would maybe push you a little bit.
Oh,
make you
absolutely.
feel a little uncomfortable, because I'm all for feeling a little bit uncomfortable because, like you said earlier, this is the body that you have. It should be celebrated. It's beautiful. Your nose, your boobs, your hair, your essence. It's all part of Shefali.
Thank you. She's here.
She's here. She's here to stay. Okay. Kind of wrapping some things together. I want to touch back on the workshop that you attended. I wanted to know what was the most surprising moment of connection for you? We had 6 women plus me, and you were able to, actually interact with probably everybody in there. And
a lot of them were new, and a lot of them were new people.
You only knew one person other than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is important to know.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And what was a surprising moment of connection for you?
First of all, the workshop was amazing. And I thank you for being my friend and such a light. And I think that is like so your calling to just like bring women together and lead them into discovering parts unknown internally. So that was really cool. And I love you. And I thank you.
I love you too.
There was a moment that you had us do that was wildly uncomfortable for me. And it was the moment where we stood across somebody, we just had like A, B, and A's and B's stood across from each other and had to look into each other's eyes for 30 seconds. And I had B, your friend B, who I had just met for the first time, standing in front of me. And we were just looking into each other's eyes, and I just started crying. Like, nothing was even happening. There was music playing, and we were like, hey girl, okay. And then we were standing there, and we're like looking into each other's eyes, and I'm so uncomfortable because I don't make a lot of eye contact. Like, I I mean, I am now, obviously, but we don't just stand in silence and like stare into each other's eyes.
Especially with somebody that you
it's
just
like
met.
so intimate. Yeah, it's like super duper intimate. It's like I don't even really do that with like friends, not in silence, you know? And it just evoked something really powerful that made me feel like I could just release. And it was the environment of like just being still and like looking into her eyes. And she started to tear up and we were both tearing up. And then the movements that ensued, which was the exercise was you take a seed, you know, from your body and the person mirrors your motion and you sort of like grow that seed and you show them, right? That was the, correct me if I'm wrong.
I had everybody with their hands on their chest and the partner A was supposed to take a seed from their heart and then show the other person exactly who they are through movement, and you just mirrored the other person's movement.
And so I thought that was really just so powerful because we had already stared into each other's eyes and forged a connection that then was the through line to when we did this movement exercise. So that was a very shocking moment for me because yes, I'm sensitive and I cry easily, whatever, I'm a Gemini, we're unpredictable. And that's like, that is something that's not weird for me to cry, but it was just like, she's a stranger. I'm looking into her eyes, and there was something about the environment that made me feel like I could really connect. Mm-hmm. And that was really surprising for me.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It was powerful to watch. And you and Bianca were closest to me. So, and everybody before we started the music was like, what? Like, we gotta look at each other? And then
I was like, which eye do I look at? I was like, oh my God.
I also wanted to know in general, because you move and you've had dance training, but what specifically draws you to movement and what it makes you feel?
I think that it's that feeling of everything we were talking about with insecurities, with bodies. Like, I'm a very confident dancer, and I think externally people see like, she's so confident. It's like, but I have my insecurities like the next person, right? But dance and movement really allows me to fully evoke the balance between the vulnerability and the confidence within me, and for me to not have to explain anything at all, but to just show. And there's like such an interpretation there that is like up to the viewer, up to you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna show I'm like doing like little movements right now, but it just allows me to sort of set aside my bodily insecurities for a minute and just move, feel, and then get a little workout in the process, you know?
Yes. What did you feel when you left?
I felt freer. I definitely felt freer. Like I had, again, like this release. I had just released a lot. And I felt refreshed. I felt excited. I mean, we were doing like 2022 versus 2023. And I just felt hopeful and refreshed for heading into the new year.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, last couple things. I just want you to imagine like 80-year-old Shefali. Okay, so we're going like 51 years into the future.
Okay.
You've had a very full life, doing all of the things that you've mentioned, but tenfold. Things that you haven't expected. Things that threw you for a loop, maybe held you back a little bit, and things that lifted you up, successes that you never imagined. What would 80-year-old Shefali tell this version of you right now?
Just enjoy it. Because we don't always just enjoy it. ups and downs, they come and go, but just ride it, ride the wave. Like live every moment, every second. Because that's like, it's funny because it's like being almost 30, and that was one of the things I would tell my 20-year-old self, you know, like, just like live every single day. Like, and it's like, it's okay if you're not feeling great, and it's okay if you're not up to it. Just be gentle with yourself and know that it's all coming and it's all happening for you and not to you. So just, I think that's that. I'm gonna live a full life.
I can see, as I've been looking at you, we've been talking about 40-year-old you and you through your 30s and 80-year-old you, I can see the woman. She's gorgeous. She's gorgeous, like from the inside to the out. I can just sense all of the experiences that are going to become the woman that you are. It's exciting.
Life is crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
I want to give you a hug.
I love you.
I love you too. Thank you for doing this with me.
Of course. Thank you for having me. So easy to talk to you.
I knew
girl.
I was like,
My girl.
I was talking to my partner, Sean, and he was like, you should get the most talkative person from the workshop. You should interview them. I was like,
You're like, oh, okay, no brainer.
Shefali.
Cool.
Yeah, because we have so many good conversations.
Yeah, we really always have such deep, beautiful conversations.
I am so happy that Shefali came to have this conversation with me, and I want to thank you for being here and seeing it all the way through and listening and going on the journey with us. If you like this content and you want to see more, please subscribe, like it, comment it if you want to discuss any further any of the topics that we've gone over, and I hope you enjoy our little dance to Keeper. Shefali told me that she really wanted to learn some floor moves, so we started with a warm-up and then we got right into it. I gave her 5 tools, starting with 1, rib rolls. You can do this with 1 leg or with 2. Both look great. Then we have leg waves, which you can do flat on your back or with your hips lifted up. And here we put them both together. Next, we have leg extensions, which are super sexy and great because you don't have to be flexible. All you gotta do is point your toes. You can do this with 1 leg or with 2 as well. Next, we have the rolling bridge. Lift the heels up and just roll those hips around. And then we have a booty lift, which takes a little bit of muscle, but it's nothing that you can't get with a little bit of practice.
See if we can work it out.
Boy, I know you want that. I'ma take control and I'ma own it. Put it in the drive and I can show ya. Would it be West Side View with a drop down like a TV?
Wow! You know, just before we begin, let me just
Let it out.
Okay, I've been growing my ass.
I see.
I've been growing. I feel like it's there,
Yeah,
right?
there's a lot of
something
ass.
happening. There's something happening.